Welcome to Martini Time. I haven't moved. I just shifted the view of the camera, so I wanted to talk about something. And but let me see what the frog who dives into the pond of the unconscious and comes up with an insight. Let me see what he has to say first. So, okay. The title of this talk is "When is a houseboat not a house or a boat?" Now I know you can't read this because it's backwards, but it says naughty nuts. And this is an old skateboard. It broke. You see, it broke right there. Like my top hat? Anyway, this skateboard was the title or the name of a houseboat that we lived on in 1969 in North Miami Beach. I had gone with my wife down to Miami to teach in a new high school on just the promise of a principal that I met. And when I got there, I lasted about 3 weeks before I realized I couldn't teach in an institution. But that's another story. But the point is, there we were, had a few $1,000s in a van, no job, living at a friend's house, and we bought this houseboat from a fella in Coconut Grove. And this was 1969. And the drugs were exploding. All the kids were on pot and speed. Crazy time. And this fella had built this houseboat. It looked like a trailer, paneled with cedar, on a fiberglass bottom. Had 2 outboats on the back, but it was square like a trailer. So we bought it we gave him, he wanted to go to law school. So we gave him our van and a couple of $1,000s and got a loan for the houseboat. I forgot what he wanted for it. Might have been $10,000, I don't know. And then I found out that, I was just going on a wing and a prayer. I found out after we bought the boat that we had to get out of the marina because the marina was rented to the person, not the boat. So we had to take this boat, houseboat. You stand on top of it. There was a little steering wheel up there, 2 outboards in the back. It had to go all the way up the inland waterway to North Miami Beach, where there was a little yacht basin called Rama Yacht Basin, carved out of the mangrove swamp, which was really old Florida. I mean, it was like old abandoned cars and tires and holes and a falling apart dock. And you rented a dock space for $45 a month, which included utilities. But you fixed up the dock yourself. There was no trash pickup, so you just threw it in the river. Little river went by the back of the boat. But anyway, I steered that boat all the way up there, pulled it into the dock, and we never took it out again. So it was a boat, but then it was a house, and we lived on it on a house. But the topic of this talk is, when is a houseboat a house, not a house, and not a boat? Well, the answer is when it's a metaphor. So we named the boat the Naughty Nuts. Now, I'm just bringing this up now because I had found this some time ago upstairs in the attic, put it up there, but I never really talked about it, and I really never saw the ambiguity, the beautiful ambiguity in the name. Naughty Nuts. It's K-N-O-T-S. Well, if you say it, it might be N-O-T-S, Naughty Nuts. Well, who does naughty nuts but a child? When a child says, when you tell the child, do you want this? He says, no. Or do you want that? No. Or when you ask a Zen master, And you ask what is the way, Master? And the Master says, Mu. What does mu mean? But not, or no, you see. So what's the naughty no? Well, certainly it's when a Zen master tells you, when you ask the serious question of your life, oh Master, what should I do? What is the way what is the way out of this suffering, Master? Mu. Actually, the koan was, the monk asked the Master, does a dog have Buddha nature or not? And the Master says, Mu. Now, the irony in this is that one of the central tenets or principles or teachings in Buddhism is that all sentient beings have Buddha nature. So if you ask, say, if the dog have Buddha nature, and he says, Mu, no, that's ambiguous. It's a naughty not, because he's contradicting the central teaching of Buddhism. And he can't do that, but yet he does. Mu. So what does it mean, you see? So what is the question? What is the question? Well, the question is, does a dog have Buddha? Well, in the Orient, the dog was China. The dog is the lowest of beings. Does even this dog have Buddha nature? No. So what's the question? Of course, the dog is a metaphor for the monk. Do I have Buddha nature, Master? I mean, if I had Buddha nature, why am I not enlightened? Why am I not saved? Why am I not free from suffering? Why am I not free from this question? And he asks that, you see. And the monk and the Master says, Mu. This is a very famous koan, this naughty not, because it blows away your ambiguity. When is a houseboat a boat, not a boat, and not a house? Well, what is it if it's not a house or a boat? 1 minute it's a boat, 1 minute it's a house. When is it not either? You see. So, looking back at my life at that time, it was a point of transition and great ambiguity. Living on a houseboat, what am I to do? I couldn't teach. Had this tremendous spiritual experience, awakening in Virginia, 1968. I've talked about that. What am I to do how can I be of service? What am I supposed to do with this energy? What am I supposed to do with this awakening? How can I be of service? That's the question. Actually, that was the question for my whole life, that same question. How can I be of service? What am I supposed to do? Who am I? I'm supposed to fit in and do something, have some meaning, but what is it? Whatever I do comes to naught. I tried teaching, I failed, fired. My whole life is a trail of mistakes and firings and wrong decisions and bad choices and yada, yada, yada. What am I supposed to do? Mu. You see. So life kind of gives you that naughty knot. Life kind of gives you that shock when you're caught in ambiguity. Is this a house or a boat? Which is it? Mu. See, it's a metaphor. Now, what does that mean? It means that it points to something beyond what you're seeing. A metaphor pushes you, and a metaphor is also irony. Look at my clock for a minute. Yeah, okay. Feel like the chimney sweeper, Mary Poppins, or Abraham Lincoln, Fred Astaire. Good. You see, can't see me dance, but so the metaphor. And our life is full of them, but we don't see it because we see them all literally. I was at the houseboat. Well, that's literally, I lived on this boat. That's the literal story. I lived on this houseboat in Miami. We did this and that, and we lived on it for 3 years, 3 months, 4 months. Then I sold it. Went back north, you see. That's facts, that's history. But what's the metaphor? Well, the metaphor points to the fact that this was a great transitional period in my life, a turning point. Because on that, when I realized that I could no longer teach in the institution, and I just quit. Bam. I got a job as an ambulance assistant in the Miami ambulances. But I knew I wasn't going to do that my whole life. That's not who I was. What am I supposed to do? So I realized I wanted to be a minister. So with that heartfelt intention, we just turned the screws, got the things going, and I got accepted. Sent an application to the Richmond Theological Presbyterian Seminary, and went to Vermont to wait for them to accept me. And when finally they accepted my application, and I went down there in the middle of the year during Christmas vacation, during the new year, like right now. And I went in there, and they gave me a room and got me rolled up in class. And then when the administration came back after, the administrative board came back after vacation, they reviewed my application and realized that I didn't have any credentials. I didn't have any backing. I didn't have any money. I didn't have any church. I was a wild card. I was a joker. So, sorry. You can't go to the tuna factory, Charlie. Remember Charlie the tuna? Oh, so that turned my whole... So that is just one little caption. If you look at your life, and it's easier when you get older. Just had my 82nd birthday. When you look at your life, you can see chapters. And all of them have names. All of them have ambiguous, catchy names. Maybe it was a short chapter. Maybe it was a long chapter. But everything has chapters. Everything is a factual story, but everything is a metaphorical story. And the metaphorical story, the metaphor of your life, points to the greater you, points to your soul, points to the real you, the unfolding of you as a unique, but at the same time, universal power or force or self, you see. We all think of ourselves as being a factually material thing in a factual material life. But, well, really, we're that. But we're also mythic beings, heroic beings, gods and goddesses, all of us on the journey of realization of our potential and our consciousness, on the journey of making our unconscious conscious, on the journey of waking up, you see. And every chapter is an ambiguous chapter, where you don't know if you're a houseboat or a boat, where you don't know if you're naughty or nice. You don't know if you're talking about not or not, K-N-O-T. And if it's a knot, K-N-O-T, is it a knot in the rope, or is the way you measure the speed of a boat? Oh, which is it? Which is it? If you say one, you're wrong. If you say the other, you're wrong. Moo. Thanks for dropping in.